Welcome into sportsbookreview.com. I'm Gary.
And I'm Chris.
And this is college football week 14 opening lines. That's right. We are winding down the season. We are almost to championship weekend, but not there quite yet. Now, obviously, this coming week is, December 5th is the weekend, the Saturday?
That's right.
Typically, that would be your conference championship week.
I was just about to say, we're normally in conference championship week right now.
However, this go round, not the case.
Oh, we got a couple more weeks left.
We got 3 weeks of games left. And now one of those is the conference championship week, but we're going to have a bunch more games
I was just about to say, it's not a normal conference championship week. We're going to have a whole slate of college football.
Oh, yes, we are. So lots to get into this week. We'll go ahead and tell you what you need to do to help us out. Go over to sbrpicks.com/NCAAF. That is your one-stop shop for all your college football gambling needs. I'm telling you, you got the books over there so you can shop for your lines. We got deep dives into all the games this week. We got a great crew, a great staff over there, and these guys know what they're talking about. So go read the articles and whatnot over at sbrpicks.com/NCAAF. If you would, you're already watching the video. Do us a favor, hit the like button. It's the little thumbs up down there. It looks just like this. Go ahead and hit the thumbs up button. Make sure that you subscribe to the channel so you know when we are here. We do our opening lines on Monday in the afternoon. We do our deep dives and pick show on Tuesdays at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And then on Saturday morning at 11 a.m. Eastern, we do our closing line show. So make sure you are subscribed. Hit that little bell, the notification, all that good stuff. And make sure that you dive in with us. Go ahead and leave comments. We want to know where you think the edge is this week, especially for these opening lines. We want to know what you think about the games and whatnot. Now, obviously, we've got our thoughts. We're going to let you know what we think. But that doesn't mean that your opinion does not matter. So just toss it down there in the comments. We would love to hear from you. And let us know if you like the show. All right, even if you don't, it doesn't matter to me. Just leave something down there. We would love to hear from you. SBRpicks.com/pick6. Every week, the Pick 6 contest. It's P-I-C-K and the number 6. You can enter it for free. Pick NFL games and college games against the number. You can win your share of cash prizes every single weekend. So go over and knock that thing out. And, as always, we don't have time to get to every game. So all you have to do is follow us on Twitter. I am at GaryWCE.
I'm at Chris B. Giannini.
And you can ask about any game that we don't get to on here. Now, if you ask about a game that we did get to, we just going to send you the link. I mean, it's very easy. Just go watch the video. That's what we do this for. But yeah, you can follow us on Twitter and ask us about games that we did not get to. And we'll tell you if we got a lean on it or not. If we don't, what our thoughts are, et cetera, et cetera. But we'll let you know. We will respond. Let's dive into the recap for this week, week 13, and this is, we'll go short, of course, now on Saturday morning. We already talked about the Friday games, all that good stuff. This week, Northwestern absolutely blew it. That was just a debacle against Michigan State. So, Northwestern out of the playoff talk. They were number 8. I doubt they will be anywhere near that. They already dropped to 16 in the AP poll, I believe.
Yeah, I'm about to get there.
So,
16.
Number 16. So, thoughts here? Northwestern just not talented enough to be able to overlook anybody, right? Or not show up.
No, they played badly. The game plan was poor. From
4 turnovers is bad.
And yeah, I mean, this is one of those situations where Ramsey was awful. I watched every snap of all of their games so far. Their weakest link is Peyton Ramsey.
I think so. The defense was okay in this game, but man, it hurts when you've got 4 turnovers and you give them
that's
short
not
field
even.
to
Listen, they got them in some 3rd and 20s, 3rd and 18s, 3rd and 13s, and you can't let Rocky Lombardi rush for 3rd and 18 first downs.
Yeah,
you just can't do. You can't. A good defense, a great defense, doesn't do that.
He had more rushing yards in this game than he had in all of the games prior combined. That's absurd.
This is
not a mobile quarterback.
No, I was just about to say, this is not Lamar Jackson back here, okay? All right? This is like every Michigan State quarterback I've ever seen in my life. This is statuesque, tough guy, but not a guy that I would call an athlete. I would not say that he has the wheels to be doing this.
No, you are correct about that. So that was disappointing from the Northwestern side. Iron Bowl domination for Alabama, 42-13. The Alabama defense has not played anybody with much of an offensive pulse over the past 5 games. However, they are looking better, whatever that means. So Alabama right now continuing their plot toward the number 1 playoff seed, and we will see what it looks like when they play against Florida. That is going to be a massive game. Kyle Pitts is back for Florida. Florida, of course, got a big-time win over Kentucky, and I mean, those two teams are doing exactly what they're supposed to do. This is a collision course situation. I can't wait to watch the SEC championship game in a few weeks. Texas A&M. The amount of times that I heard in that game, and I know that you were watching it, the amount of times that I heard that Texas A&M needs to win convincingly, and that the resume doesn't really have a whole lot. It doesn't really hold up. Blah, 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 blah. This is on the SEC network.
They kicked the crap out of Florida.
And they kind of beat the crap out. LSU didn't sniff the red zone. How was that?
That's not true. That's not true. We were in the red zone like 5 times.
So they were up 20-0 until less than a minute left is when they scored the touchdown.
Yeah, but that's
okay. But just
from
follow
a guy
me.
who didn't watch the game. Go ahead and tell me what happened.
Just follow me. 20-0 over the defending national champions, regardless of who's playing quarterback or whatever else. Is that not, especially in a game where there was a monsoon early and 3 weeks after playing their last game, they haven't played in forever. They hadn't been able to practice.
It was a fine win.
I thought it was kind of convincing.
LSU's not a good football team. So the fact that, you didn't give up any points to a bad football team, okay, all right. And you only scored 20 against a bad football team, all right.
This is not a dig at LSU, by the way. This is me trying to figure out, is Texas A&M a playoff caliber team?
Yes. Beating somebody convincingly or not is irrelevant of the fact. They have the single best win in the country outside of Notre Dame.
Yeah. And even then, Notre Dame's was over a team with a backup quarterback.
Yes.
So, and defensive guys out and all that. You can come up with all kinds of things.
They have the best win in the country.
I agree.
Should be, we had this conversation off air, I'll say it now, they should be ranked higher than Clemson.
I agree.
If you took the jerseys off of everybody and you just looked at resume, their resume is better than Clemson's. It's better than Florida's because they have the win over Florida.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's where I come down on it as well. So I don't know that A&M needed to be any more convincing than they were. They still got several games left. Auburn this week, a little frightening, a little scary. We'll see. Egg Bowl. Egg Bowl was a lot of fun. I know you like talking about this.
Egg Bowl's back.
Yes. This was entertaining. Incredible coaches. Leach and Kiffin both found ways to get it done. It was not some super high-scoring whatever affair.
It was a great football game all around.
Ole Miss could have, this is the issue that you run into with Kiffin, right? He is super aggressive all the time. So if it's like 4th and 3 or less, he is going for that mother every time. And I think it cost you a cover. Because
probably. I don't care about that.
I know.
At some point in time, I just realized I love this game. This game is back to being fun. We don't have unlikable, hateable guys. The vitriol is gone. This is two teams that are coached by guys that have respect for one another.
Yes.
And they just love football.
Yes. And that makes it a much more enjoyable game than the hatred, right?
The fights.
We
didn't have one scuffle.
Yeah.
We didn't have one scuffle. I haven't seen an Egg Bowl in 15 years that didn't have a fight.
Yeah. At least something between, some group of players at some point in the game. And
it really was exactly what I wanted, which is why I didn't care that I had to tear the ticket up. I just didn't. I really enjoyed it.
Buffalo running back Jarrett Patterson runs 36 times for 409 yards and 8 touchdowns on the ground. And his backup ran for 100 yards and 2 touchdowns. So had you tossed in Jarrett Patterson for even just a little bit more, he would have had the all-time NCAA single-game rushing record and the all-time NCAA because he tied the touchdown record. Yeah. So, this was close, but, man, he puts his name up in the record books. Buffalo with a massive 70-41 win over Kent State. And then finally, we're recording this on Sunday night, Vanderbilt has fired Coach Derek Mason. I don't believe that they are picking from the same coaching candidate pool as South Carolina or Tennessee or Auburn or whoever else might be at Texas and Michigan, whatever. No. Vandy is in a whole different class. I'll go on and call my shot right now. I think Will Healy gets that job from Charlotte. I think he is perfect for it. He coached at Austin Peay. He knows the Nashville area. He knows that recruiting area, that region of the country. I think that's the perfect guy for the job. You never know. You never know. So we'll see what they end up doing.
I would love to have a Vanderbilt job. So if they can't get Will and they just want a guy that knows a lot about flooring and likes to talk football, I'll take it for half the money you're paying Mason. You just take that budget and you just cut it right in half.
Didn't they have that with Robbie Caldwell? Isn't that what?
Was he a flooring guy beforehand?
I don't know if he was a flooring guy, but he's the one that talked about basting a turkey and whatever.
Hey, I bet I can smoke some meat better than anybody in Nashville.
That's it. Yeah, probably so.
I'll take my chances.
I would take you in that fight.
I would just take my shot. I might get beat, but I'm not. I'm going down swinging.
This was so it's odd timing. Like, I hate that they did this the day after he plays the girl.
So you know my philosophy on that. I do not ever care about timing or optics with almost everything. I have two philosophies that I live a lot of life about. One is it's never the wrong time to do the right thing.
Agreed.
And if he's not the guy, you get rid of. And the other, my grandfather taught me this. He was an old Italian gambler. He just, as soon as you know you have a losing hand, fold it.
Yeah.
Now, with that logic, I'd have fired him 2 years ago. But I get okay, that's fine. They finally realized he ain't the guy. Can him.
Yeah.
Can him. Why wait 2 to 3? I just never understand the lame duck situation. Because there's a lot of guys that you want to do things the right way. You can't start calling agents. You can't start talking to other coaches because you got somebody in the seat. Then let's just clear the seat.
Yeah, let's get it out of here.
Wait, no, listen, 44-0. It ain't going to get worse than that. I will tell you this. I don't care who's coaching. Georgia won't be worse than 44-0.
You got a valid point. You got a valid point. All right, let's move into the Thursday night slot, and let's talk about Air Force and Utah State. Air Force opened a 10.5-point favorite. 48.5 is the total. It's on CBS Sports Network, 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time. This is the Thursday night late game. Is the NFL game moving? It is moving. So this will be the only football game that night because Baltimore was supposed to be playing in it, and now it's just a mess.
Baltimore's definitely not playing in it.
So
it's supposed to be Baltimore Cowboys.
Yep, and that is being moved back to Sunday, and then right. Whatever happens. So this will be your game for the evening. It's 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time. The line has moved to Air Force -10, so we're getting some love for Utah State after that Thanksgiving night showdown.
It just went from 10.5 to 10. It's still 10.5 in a couple places.
So the projected spread was Air Force -18.9.
Yeah, I haven't figured out the Air Force love yet.
I will say this. I do like them more than I like Utah State.
Okay.
But
I don't disagree with that. But
I also don't know that I would ever bet this game.
Yeah, I was about to say, how many times have we said you just
don't touch Air Force?
Just don't bet Air Force.
Yeah.
Just don't ever do it.
Yeah, you can't do it. You can't do it. So that is your Thursday night game. Let's move into the Friday spot. By the way, my lean would be Air Force. Like, I'm not playing it. That would be my lean on it.
Yeah, I might play it because I have nothing else to watch Thursday night.
It's like, why not just toss a couple dollars on old Air Force, on the Academy. Moving into the Friday slate, and we've got some pretty good games on Friday night.
I will be having an eyeball on all three of these.
There are 2 games that are really good. There is one that is...
It's just a team I love.
Yeah. We'll start with the earlier game, 7 p.m. Eastern Time on ESPN2, is Louisiana and App State. Now, most years, this would have been the Sun Belt Championship game. But this year, App State will not be representing the East. So now we get this matchup a couple weeks before the actual championship game. This should be interesting. Louisiana has to go on the road. App State, of course, already knocked out by Coastal just a couple of weeks ago. You know, the line is 3.5 in favor of App State. 53.5 is the total. It has gone down to App State -3. The projected spread was App State -1.3. So there is some Louisiana love in there. Billy Napier up for some of these jobs. You know, I was worried about him last week, and why would I ever be against Louisiana Monroe? Because he hung 70 on him. 70 to
20.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. And that's, you know, obviously there would be Louisiana love after that. But App State destroyed Troy as well, 47-10. So the matchups in this one, I do think favor Louisiana, but they have not beaten App State
if this game
forever.
was played on the moon, if this game was played in a neutral spot, I think this is as close to a pick 'em as you can, which means they're giving App State the full home field treatment. And I've said it all year long.
That's too much.
That's just wrong. And I knew going into this game, whoever's getting a head start, I'm taking. And I never would have thought it would have been a field goal. Never. Pick them, and it's going to move to -1 one way or the other. And I think before this game is played, we're probably going to be at App State closer to 1.5 than 3.
You might be right about that. So if you want Louisiana, you probably need to get them now.
Now, you want to take them now.
Go on and grab them now. Let's move into the other game, 9:30 p.m. Eastern time on FS1. That would be the Washington State Cougars against USC, who is now the Pac-12's only real playoff hope. And even that, I don't know if that's going to happen or not. USC favored by 12.5, total of 61. It's moved up to 14 already. Washington State has COVID issues. They had to cancel last week. I don't know if they're going to be able to play this week. We're still, this game is scheduled, but we shall see. And in the projection, the projected spread is USC -17.58. I think that sounds about right. Now, obviously, I love Nick Rolovich.
This gets over 2 touchdowns. I'm taking Washington.
Now, their quarterback's going to be out.
I don't care. What does Rolo do?
I mean, he finds guys.
Rolo's going to stick somebody in there. You know what he's going to tell him? Throw it deep.
Hey, just fling it.
Just let her rip, Tater Chip.
Yeah, throw it deep, and then, once everybody, all those safeties start running deep.
Then we're going to run the ball.
That's the run and shoot, baby.
That's exactly what Rolo's going to do. He don't need a quarterback. He just needs a guy with an arm.
USC also has COVID issues as well, so maybe you're right. I don't know what to think of this.
It's 100% a Rolo play, though.
Yeah.
He's a guy that I like watching and betting on, and I'm not sitting at home with nothing to do on a Friday night without some action.
You got something else you could do?
No.
Let's move on.
That number's too big.
I don't know what you're talking about. We're talking about UNLV, man.
Well,
too big?
Maybe not.
Too big?
It's 26.5 already.
Boise State opened -26 at UNLV. This is also 9:30 p.m. Eastern time on CBS Sports Network. Open 26. It's moved to 26.5.
I don't like playing these big numbers.
I will say this. The projected spread on this,
30.
Statistical-wise, 11.8.
No, that's wrong.
11.8.
Wrong.
Now, UNLV has looked okay.
That's fine. I don't like playing big numbers. You know that. I don't like playing big numbers.
What if you played against the big number?
No, I'm not doing that either. I'm not betting against Boise.
What if this gets to 28.5?
I bet Boise. I bet against Boise once. I won. I felt good about it. I'm not doing it again.
Okay. I would take UNLV here.
That's fine. You can.
But I don't feel good about it.
The only reason I'm watching this game is to watch Boise.
I'll probably take Louisiana out of this trifecta here.
I'm definitely doing that.
I may not play any of the other ones.
Oh,
we'll see. I don't know. I hadn't had a whole lot of luck during the weeknight games.
It's Friday night. It's late night. I'm gonna have a few pops in me. I'm gonna need something.
I can totally understand that. All right, let's move into the Saturday spot. We have got some games that have times and some games that don't. So we will jump into the noon slate. We've only got a couple of those right now. So let's go ahead and dig into it. Ohio State -23.5 against Michigan State on ABC. I only bring up this game because if it doesn't get played, Ohio State is not eligible for the Big Ten championship game. Now, the line is down to 22.5, which I found really interesting.
I think it opened there.
Well, it opened 23.5.
No, but it's only opened. It's only available at 3 books, and I think all these books opened it at different things because they don't know what it is.
Yeah, we've got one that's at 21.5 now
because they don't know because there's no movement on the action.
Well, and nobody know. Oh, we've got several at 21.5.
Yeah.
So that's
no movement on the action.
That's what I'm curious about.
So all of these are showing where they're at now is where they opened at.
Were you surprised that this was only a 3 touchdown spread?
No. Nope.
Really? I'm surprised.
Michigan State's a weird-ass team that people are having a hard time figuring out.
You have got that
And I
right.
think there's a world in which Ohio State might have a hard time figuring them out.
Michigan State was able to beat Michigan by throwing the football.
I was just about to say, they throw the – Rocky Lombardi throws the deep ball pretty nicely.
And they
got some receivers that can go get – those dudes are big.
Yes, they are.
Those guys are long, and they're tall, and they're what I think of when I think of Michigan State. Just big, thick, strong dudes.
Yeah.
Like, they're not the fastest guys in the world.
But they big.
But they're big, and athletes. They get open. And I'm just going to tell you, I saw Indiana drop 500 yards on this team. I think they can keep it close.
Okay.
Define close.
21, within 22
21
and a half?
points, and I still cover? Come on.
Yeah, okay.
Now, I'm not telling you I'm going to play it, but
the projected spread on this is 34.65.
See, that's insane. I don't know how you get that.
I don't either.
I don't know how those computers do that kind of math and spit that number out.
You got me. I have no idea.
I would imagine I would do a side bet with a computer that it's closer to this number than that number. It might be over this number, but it's going to be closer to this number than that.
Than that one. You might be right about that. You might be right. All right. The other noon game, and we will talk about the SEC here for a second. That would be Texas A&M at Auburn. Texas A&M, a 3.5-point favorite at opening with a total of 48.5. Not a lot of points they're expecting. It's on ESPN at noon Eastern. It's now out to Texas A&M -6. I felt like that's where it should have been to start with. That -3.5 to open kind of. This is a tricky spot for A&M, right? You got to go on the road against a wily old vet coach in Gus Malzahn who just got beat by his rival, but you know that he's capable of coming up with some kind of a game plan like he does it every year against A&M. It's just something goofy that he will throw out there to give them a shot to win the ball game. Auburn, I don't think, is as bad as they looked against Alabama, and I don't think that they are as good as they looked against LSU.
No.
They are somewhere in between.
They're somewhere in the middle of that.
Which means they could be all over creation, right? It's just this roller coaster up and down.
I will tell you this. I think Bo Nix is going to have a problem with this defense.
I agree 100%.
I don't know if that means this is still not going to be a close game or not. If Tank isn't back and healthy and right, those offensive linemen aren't back and healthy and right, I think this offense is going to have problems.
Yes, I agree. I mean, that's 100% it. Like, if you get any kind of pressure,
I'll tell you,
on Nix,
tells me I do think this is going to be this game's going to look more like the LSU game than it's going to look like the Auburn Alabama game or the A&M Alabama game. I think it's going to be a very low scoring game.
Yeah, I wonder about that total 48.5. Like, these are the two defense coordinators here, Kevin Steele for Auburn and Mike Elko for A&M. They love dragging it down in the mud.
No, because Auburn's defense is a lot better than LSU's, and we gave them fits.
Yeah.
Bad fits.
Again, it depends on which Kellen Mond shows up, right?
Kellen Mond was fine. We just took it away from him. Not one receiver was wide open.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he was throwing to contested guys all day long, and they finally shut down the run. And so, I mean, I don't, I think we just played well.
It's entirely possible. It is entirely possible.
If you made me pick the game, I'd take A&M. And I might still take A&M.
I think I would do the same.
I think Jim Bowden. They were my pick to win the SEC this year. They had 9 opt-outs. And to define opt-out, 9 players that are going to go into the NFL draft next year are not playing on this A&M team.
Yep.
You put those 9 players on this team and you let them play Alabama, I think that game looks drastically different. I'm not saying the outcome's any different. I think the score is a hell of a lot different.
Yeah.
Because there's 9 NFL guys that are not on this team right now, and this team is really, really good. They were my pick to win the SEC. They lost those 9 NFL dudes. It wouldn't surprise me if they sneak their way into the playoffs, they make some noise.
Hey, I'm looking forward to it.
I think they got the best resume outside of any conference champion.
I think so too. I
said it earlier. They should be ranked higher than Clemson and Florida.
Moving on into the afternoon slate, speaking of resumes and all that good stuff, of course, if Ohio State loses one more game, who is sitting there right behind them? Indiana. Indiana headed to Wisconsin this week. Wisconsin opened a 10.5-point favorite, 50.5 the total. This is 3:30 p.m. Eastern time on ABC. Wisconsin sitting right now as a 10-point favorite. So there is money coming in on Indiana. The projected spread, 6.97 here.
Well, and this is only open at one book because we're still trying to figure out if Michael Penix is going to play.
And, of course, Wisconsin COVID issues, still trying to figure those out.
That's correct as well.
Yeah.
But Penix is a question mark that's legit and real, and we'll actually have an answer for that at some point in time. The COVID stuff,
who knows?
They don't attach kids' names to these things usually, so you're flying blind there. If they're without Penix,
the other guy came in and looked good.
Oh, he looked good, but Wisconsin has a week to prepare for that. And because it's a different style of football.
Yes, very much so. You're not going to have as much of a mobile pocket, but you might have a better passer.
No, you do have a better passer, but, well, I say that. I got a really small sample size, and I have a lot of sample size.
But that's the scary thing about this.
Penix is pretty good.
You got a guy that came in against a defense that wasn't expecting it.
True.
Kind of the same thing.
And it's a bad defense anyway that was playing way above their head.
Right. Cade McNamara for Michigan comes in against Rutgers. They weren't expecting him. He shows out, 4 touchdowns, blah, 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 blah. Well, then against Penn State, he didn't even pass for 100 yards.
Yeah, he's the guy, and then who'd they go to in the middle of it? Milton.
Yep.
And they got the offense moving, and I prepared for the left, and I got hit with the right. The right came through. You do the opposite, and it always works out. I don't want this Indiana thing to end, but I don't know that they got the horses.
It sounded so sad.
Well, it's because I kind of think Wisconsin
might mash them.
Is a really good football team.
Yeah.
I think they might kick their ass.
They might.
And I don't want to see that.
I would like for Indiana to win out.
I would too.
I think it'd be a lot of fun to see that.
Love Tom Allen. You know that.
Don't think it's going to happen.
I don't either.
Do think
they got a tough road. They drew the short straw for the teams in the West.
Yep. And they're still sitting at 5-1, guaranteed of a winning season this year. It's not bad.
No.
Not bad at all.
Good at you, Tom.
Moving on, let's move into the SEC again. Florida and Tennessee is the 3:30 p.m. Eastern time CBS game. Florida opened a 16.5-point favorite. That felt insanely short to me. The projected spread is Florida minus 21.95. It is still sitting at 16.5. What am I missing?
People are betting laundry?
How could you possibly bet on Tennessee right now, especially against this team? Like Auburn beat them by 17, right? Or 13. Was it 13?
Tennessee's bad.
Either way,
it doesn't matter. Auburn doesn't have the offense. This will be the best defense that I think Florida has played all year. Maybe not. A&M's the best defense they've played all year. This will be the second best defense I think they've played all year. I do think this Tennessee defense is really good.
They can be.
No, I think the only time they really struggle is if the offense backs them into a corner and they're on the field constantly, or they're having to defend short fields. Now, I don't think that means they're going to stop them. And the problem is that ain't Kellen Mond on the other side of the ball.
That's true.
That's Jared Gortano on the other side of the ball, and he ain't no good.
I would imagine this should be closer to 3 touchdowns.
I agree with that. I thought this was going to open at 20 and a half, just under 21. That's where I thought this number was going to open, and I was like, can I pull the trigger on Florida laying that many points?
Now, at the same time, like Florida did just beat Vanderbilt by 17 or 21 or whatever it was. So, like,
I don't care what they did last week.
That was 2 weeks ago, right? They just beat Kentucky by 34 to 20 or 30 or 34 to 10 or whatever it was. Either way. I feel like Florida is significantly better than Tennessee. I
think these teams are still getting a home field advantage. This seems
crazy.
This seems 3 points off. And what have we always given home field?
3 points.
Like I said, that's my gorilla brain thinking that. Okay, so that could be
your Neanderthal brain.
As far wrong as possible. Tennessee yet to score in the second half since we talked the other day. They got a touchdown a couple of weeks ago.
They still don't have a total for this, do they?
No, they don't have a total, and there's almost you can't find like any bet action at all.
That's weird. That is weird. All right, staying in that afternoon time slot, let's move quickly to the MAC. And Buffalo got a massive, massive win over Kent State. And boy, that offense was just rolling, and that defense was able to hold up pretty good in the second half. They open a 9.5-point favorite at Ohio. It's 3:30 p.m. Eastern time on CBS Sports Network. And, you know, that line seemed kind of big for old Frank Solich and the Ohio Bobcats. However, Mr. Rourke, the quarterback for Ohio, who has put up some pretty monster numbers in the first few games this year, it looks like he will be out for this game. That line has already moved up to Buffalo minus 11. The projected spread here was actually Buffalo minus 12.68. So getting back to where the analytics would say it is, or at least very, very close. And I think Buffalo could beat the crap out of everybody left on their schedule.
Yeah, I think so
they
too.
are such a good team.
There's not a number that I won't take Buffalo at for the rest of the season, probably.
This coach, if Michigan ends up looking for a head coach, this is who they need to go hire. Lance Leipold would be a fantastic hire anywhere.
Michigan's too tough of a place to recruit. He's got to be.
I don't think he's got to recruit.
Right now,
I think he's an incredible player developer.
You don't think Buffalo has more talent than these other teams?
I think they have more talent than some of them.
I think they got more
but
talent
not all
than a lot
of
of them.
Maybe I'm wrong. Either way, I do think Lance Leipold is a fantastic head coach.
Do you think that Tennessee line? So I was going back to see, has Tennessee scored in the second half again since the 7 points that they scored up until the Auburn game? So they did score 7 in the Auburn game in garbage time. They had last week off. Do you think that line is short because they've had 2 weeks to prepare?
Maybe. Didn't they have COVID issues though?
No, it wasn't a canceled game. I just think that was their bye week, right?
No, I thought they had. Yeah, no. They were supposed to play they were supposed to play Arkansas maybe or somebody. They had a canceled game last week.
Oh, yep, that's right. Because I had Arkansas.
Yep.
I was gonna.
Oh no, not Arkansas. They were supposed to play Vanderbilt. They were supposed to play Vanderbilt, and they had issues. Vandy and Missouri played because Arkansas also had COVID issues.
They rescheduled,
and they had to reschedule that around.
That's it.
So Tennessee having COVID issues.
Because I had Arkansas against Missouri.
That makes the line even more squirrely because Tennessee had COVID issues to the point that they could not play a game against Vanderbilt.
I didn't mean to get us back on a terrible football game.
That's interesting. Anyway, all right. So moving on, the last of the afternoon slate before we get into the evening and then the to be determines. Let's talk about Maryland and Michigan. And, man, I don't know what to make of Michigan right now. Michigan is a 6-point favorite in this spot, or opened 6. And then it drops down to 5.5 already right now. It's 3:30 p.m. Eastern time on Big Ten Network. I watched some of the Penn State-Michigan game.
Watched a lot of it.
I don't know what they are doing. I don't get their coaching staff. I don't get their game plans. I don't understand. I don't get how they could be this bad.
I mean, they've lost a lot of talent to the NFL, and they just obviously aren't the kind of school that can reload.
I mean, I guess the scary thing about this is we know that if you are able to throw the football at all, you will be able to put up points on them. Maryland can throw the football. Yeah. So, they weren't able to.
No, that secondary is bad. That secondary is real bad.
Now, that's what makes this game
now, I'm going to tell you, I like to give the defense credit a lot for pressure and things of that nature, but Baby Tagovailoa was pretty inaccurate in that game.
Oh, he certainly was.
He definitely does not have the accuracy as Big Brother.
Now, he did in the few games before they got to that long extended break, right? That's where it became an issue.
These weren't like slant timing routes. These were just like
some of them were just deep balls that he completely missed.
He's missing guys by a lot. Now, some of them he was dead on. I mean, he's not awful. Obviously, he's not a terrible quarterback, but he's kind of a guy that just because guys are beat deep doesn't mean that's going to turn into 6. Rocky Lombardi didn't miss any of those throws. If Baby Tagovailoa misses a few, then that could help Michigan a lot.
Yeah, maybe you're right.
Do you think there's a world where Michigan can just say, we're bigger and stronger than you, let's just make this an old school Big Ten game, and let's just run the football down your throat. Let's keep you on the sidelines. Let's let our defense not have to play. The best defenses don't play defense, and let's just turn this into an Army football game. Because I think they have the dudes to do that.
Yeah, they got the personnel.
Do they have the willingness and the lack of? Can you put your ego aside and say, I know we can run it on them. Let's just run the football all day long. I think so many of these coaches get caught up in their own egos.
Yeah.
And it costs them football games.
100%.
Because this is a game where that offensive line will push that defensive front around. They should be able to get 4 to 5 yards every touch.
I do wonder, so we talked about that with Tom Herman. I think a lot of that's ego. His aggressiveness is ego.
Yes. It's I want to beat you, and I want to beat you my way. And I don't have pride on anything. It's literally it's the speech from Money Mall. As soon as you get the answer you want, just hang up. I don't care who gets any pride or credit. Did we win? Great. I didn't care how we won.
Yeah, just find a way.
How do I look from the win? I don't care. You got all the glory. Awesome. Great. We won. I get to hang that W up. That's all that matters.
Yeah. No, I'm with you.
But none of these coaches seem to do that. They all want to do it their way.
Yeah. No, you're 100% right.
It just drives me insane.
Michigan could easily win this game by a touchdown if they decide to do that.
If they do that.
Yes, if they decide
to do that. What do you think the chances of them doing that are?
Slim to none.
I think that's almost zero.
I think it's an ego thing.
I think they're going to try to throw the football and play their normal style of game.
There you go.
Anyway. Let's
move into the evening slate. Alabama minus 27.5 at LSU. Total of 68.5. It's 8 p.m. Eastern time on CBS. This is the CBS primetime game that they wanted. They rearranged the entire SEC schedule just to be able to get this game. LSU's star wide receiver, Terrace Marshall, he opts out after the Texas A&M win over LSU. At 4 touchdowns? I feel like that's a little crazy. The projected spread is 26.4. It's now 28.5. Could Alabama basically name their score here?
Yes.
I feel so weird about this.
Why?
Well, we talked about the A&M, how disrespectful 15.5 was.
It was disrespectful. And that number was wrong, by the way. LSU covered it, and it wasn't just a late backdoor cover. Because of the monsoon, they missed 2 field goals. So, that game would have been a lot closer than it already was if it wasn't for the crazy rain.
So in this instance, yes, Alabama is
but that
really
was
good.
A&M, not Alabama.
So, so the difference is basically just between Alabama's offense and A&M's offense.
Yes.
Right? And Alabama's offense can basically score
whenever they want
on whoever, right?
Correct.
28.5 just feels absurd.
I would agree with that.
Now, obviously, 24.5 felt absurd against Auburn, and they covered that.
Yeah, but
ease.
Auburn was in position to backdoor cover that also. They could have backdoor covered that.
Yeah, it was 42-13. They could have gotten there.
Well, yeah, that touchdown at the end where he was calling timeouts and he was trying to score. Why do you think he was trying to do that?
It makes sense. It makes sense.
To get the cover.
Yeah, because they scored their first touchdown with 4 minutes left in the game, or less than that. It was 3-something. That's interesting.
The back door is going to be open if it's 28.5, but Alabama could easily cover this.
That's crazy to think about. All right, let's move into some of these other games that don't have a time as of yet. Clemson, we will talk about them and Virginia Tech, and there ain't a whole lot to discuss here. I think this is the swan song for Justin Fuente, unless they just can't afford the buyout.
I was just about to say, do you think he's actually fired?
I think after this season, because this is a very football-centric place in Blacksburg, Virginia.
Yes,
and
a lot of pride.
When things ain't going well.
I get it, but I also don't, and I don't know anything about this school's, politics or the makeup of their booster. Are they the kind of people that are willing to pay buyouts and pay big buyouts? And I don't know what Fuente's contract or buyout is. I haven't looked into that.
I don't think it's crazy. It's millions of dollars, but it's not like absurd. It's not the Auburn buyout where Gus Malzahn is like $20.5 million, whatever. This one could be, I think $8 million or $9 million around there.
Because you got to remember the last coach they had for 30 years.
So that's what makes this interesting, is because Shane Beamer's name has come up a lot for the South Carolina search, and I think that's just agents throwing the name around. Yeah. But if you think you're going to get rid of Fuente,
don't do it, Vatek. Don't do it.
Just saying, he's a tech or a tech. He's an assistant over at Oklahoma.
Don't do it.
You know, I'm just
don't put yourself in that situation.
Do you think there's
right now Frank Beamer is welcome on that campus and would come anytime you call. If you hire his son and it doesn't work out and you have to fire his son, and then the next time you want to call Frank to come wave his hand at a parade and let you generate about $400,000 or $500,000 at a dinner, he might tell you to go blow smoke.
That's a valid point.
That you don't
go home.
Do it. Don't do it. Just find somebody else. Don't do
it. As far as the game is concerned, opened at 21.5 with a total of 66.5.
Ain't enough points.
It stays at Clemson minus 21.5.
I mean, this is an opening line. We're just now open.
Yeah, but a lot of people typically hit those when they don't feel like it's enough. Like, do you think there's any chance Virginia Tech finds a way to keep this thing relatively competitive?
No.
Not so much, huh? The projected spread is Clemson minus 23.
That sounds about right.
I think Clemson could name their
24
score.
is when I would start thinking about taking Vatek.
Okay.
So that projected score makes sense to me.
Yeah, okay. That's it. I don't know, man. I feel like Clemson might want to just blow out everybody. Like, they might just destroy everybody.
Well, I think they realize they're going to have to make a statement because they are in competition with A&M and Florida.
Yeah. Yeah, they certainly are. Yeah, we shall see. We shall see. I don't know what to expect here. I'm going to dig some more numbers on that one. Liberty and Coastal Carolina, and I think that this is going to be the game of the week. Yep. For us, especially. Now that I don't know about game day, I don't know about all this other stuff.
Game day should be there.
Game day has not announced.
There's not another game that's close to as good as this one.
This is the only matchup of ranked teams outside of Indiana and Wisconsin, right? Yeah. And why would you go?
You can't go to Wisconsin
when you could go to Myrtle Beach, South Carolina.
No, you have to. This is the only decision they can make.
I think so. Like, you want to showcase some of these smaller programs, this is the time to do it.
There'll never be another time for you to do it.
And you might not get a better coaching matchup anywhere else.
No, you get Hugh,
you get Jamie Chadwell.
This is fantastic.
Yes, I agree. Coastal opened a 6-point favorite, 56.5 the total. That is still at 6, and the projected point spread was actually Coastal minus 2.5.
Yeah, I had a feeling that the numbers on the analytics were going to favor more Liberty than I thought.
Well, I think they favor offense more. I think. Yeah. I don't know this for certain, but I don't know, man. Coastal is so good, but Liberty, I mean, they are 1 point away from being 10-0 right now.
Yeah, but that whole game against NC State, they had to fight and claw to come back on.
Oh yeah,
like NC State was controlling that game from start to finish.
And I mean, it was 15-14.
Yeah,
and so it was right there.
They couldn't score on NC State.
Yeah, and they've been able to score on everybody else. So are they not going to be able to score on Coastal because that defense is really good?
Really good. Do you think Coastal – I was going to ask you this. Do you think Coastal's defense is better than NC State's?
Yes.
Because I do too.
I think it is.
I do too. Now, that doesn't mean I think they're going to hold Liberty to 15 points the whole game.
No.
But I have no idea how Liberty's defense held NC State to 15, 20 points. I don't know how that worked.
Yeah.
Because that defense also hadn't stopped anybody.
No, that's entirely true. This could be an over kind of play. I mean, it's 56.5.
This Liberty, see, the problem is
that's still a key number of 56, though.
If Coastal shows up and
plays defense,
and they play defense, you got one team beating the hell out of another. You might not get that number.
56.5 is looking at like a 35-21 kind of score if Coastal wins by 2 touchdowns. Like this would be 28-28 basically. and then add 3. So 31 to 24-ish. I
think Coastal's scoring 35 to 40 because Liberty hasn't. This is the best offense Liberty's played all year, and they haven't stopped any. I have no idea how they stopped NC State.
Is Coastal's offense better than Virginia Tech's?
I think so.
This might be an overplay.
I think I'm just going to stick with the Coastal.
Maybe so. I don't know. I don't like that 6, though. I want that thing to come down a little more.
It ain't coming down because it's Sunday and
everybody loves Coastal.
Everybody in the country loves Coastal.
Yeah,
It's not coming down. You want it, you play it now.
God, Coach Chadwell, what are you doing to me? All right, we'll see. I don't know.
Have faith in him.
I'm going to have faith in him.
Take him as a favorite and bet him. He would have covered the last 2 weeks that we were too scared of the big number.
That's true. He has done that.
We were afraid of big numbers the last 2 weeks, and we look stupid.
We do look stupid. And now it's over the projected spread. Yeah, you're probably right. I think that's the play. I think they are a more talented
They're better
team.
at every aspect of the game.
Yeah.
Now, before this season, I would have said Hugh's a way better coach than Jamie. Before this season.
But this team is different.
We're having a different conversation.
They are certainly different. The Texas Longhorns headed to Kansas State, 8.5-point favorite. They opened 8.5. It's down to 7.5. I think that's probably closer correct. 52.5 is the total on this one. Okay, Kansas State looked all right against Baylor, but Baylor's not as good as Texas. There are rumors of a ton of opt-outs in Austin today after they lost that game against Iowa State. So there's no names attached to it, but these are reporters.
I'm worried about is Sam.
Sam, man, his press conference after that Iowa State game was something. Man, they asked him, what's the deal? Why are y'all not able to get more out of these blue chip guys? And he said, that's the $1 million question, but they've been trying to figure out for 10 years around here. I mean, he just let it fly. He was just answering as openly. And he looked like a dude that had given everything he possibly could to this university and was ready to just be like, I don't know what to tell you.
Do you think he'll be a good pro?
No.
I don't either.
He's not an accurate passer.
I don't either.
I love him to death. He's Tebow-esque, right? Because he can run, and he's a good leader, and he's all these different things.
He's got a lot of things you like.
Yeah. He's a great kid.
But there's something about him that I just think, I don't want him.
His throwing motion's a little off.
I don't want my team to draft him.
Yeah.
I want somebody to draft him. I don't want my team to draft him.
I want to be able to pull for him.
I want to watch him, and I want to see does he do well, but I don't want it to be my team.
You know how we were talking about Lamar Jackson, testing out at wide receiver and stuff like that?
I don't know that he's the athlete to do that.
I think he could be a great tight end.
Okay, hang on. No, I don't think he'd be a great tight end. I disagree with that. I think if he ends up at a place like New Orleans, then Sean Payton can get his Frankenstein hands on him. Then I can't tell you that he's not better than Taysom Hill.
That's entirely possible.
But I think there's 3 places in the country that he could go to and be successful. I think it's Andy Reid. I think it's Sean Payton. I think it's probably Kyle Shanahan.
Probably
maybe Josh McDaniels in New England.
He might be a really good backup for somebody. Yeah. But I just
and they put together a package for him and they run gimmick plays.
That'd be about it.
This is what's going to stress me out. The Patriots are going to end up drafting this kid.
Kansas State. So Texas's run defense is legit. They are absolutely legit. Their defense overall is legit.
It's improved, much improved.
So Kansas State, they are a one-trick pony. They count on Deuce Vaughn to do basically everything. I think Texas can game plan if there's players left on the team, if they haven't just decided to completely quit, they should be able to beat Kansas State by double digits. They should. All bets are off at this point. I don't know. What happened last week was an atrocity. It was coaching malfeasance. Is that a word? Yeah, I feel like that's a word.
At some point in time, the dudes have to execute, and they just didn't.
Oh.
Can I never talk about Kansas State again?
Yeah, we can probably dump them after this week.
After this week.
Well, I mean, we already brought them up.
This team has nothing to offer at all. They're not interesting. They're not fun. They're not good.
I still love Chris Kleiman.
With the old saying Colin Cowherd used to always say, you can be great, you can be terrible, you just can't be boring.
They're pretty boring. They're certainly that.
I need something in Kansas State locker room, personnel, something to change. Kleiman better come out with a funny press conference, tell a couple of jokes. I don't know, get drunk on the sidelines, I don't care.
Anything.
You got to give me some reason to care that you exist as a place.
Let's talk about Oklahoma State right quick. Oklahoma State not out of the Big 12 title race as of right now. They have got 2 losses. And
they need to win, and they need Oklahoma to lose?
No, they need to win, and they need Iowa State to lose. Right? Well, or they could get Oklahoma to lose.
Oh, so they need either Iowa State or Oklahoma.
Oklahoma has 2 losses. A third would keep Oklahoma State in. Iowa State has 1 loss in conference, but that loss was to Oklahoma State.
So they have to win, and they need one of those other 2 teams to lose.
Correct. So they are playing TCU here. They opened a 1.5-point favorite. Total of 51.5 in this game.
I thought that was like a pick'em now.
So the last that I looked, it was still 1.5.
What's the number?
But I'll let you look at it. I don't have the rotation numbers. Do not have them. It should be like a 1 o'clock
TCU,
game,
right? That's searching.
Yeah,
fine.
TCU.
Boom. Oh, it's still 1. It's still 1.5.
So Oklahoma State -1, -1.5.
I don't know why I thought it went. I thought one place went down to 1, and then I just kind of thought they all went to pick them.
Projected spread is 6.75 in favor of Oklahoma State.
That seems right to me.
I think Oklahoma State is a much better team.
Yeah.
And I don't get why. Like, TCU just beat up on Kansas.
Correct.
Obviously, that's great for your morale.
Yeah, you basically had a bye week, so if they've been preparing for Oklahoma State for 2 weeks, then there's something there.
Yeah, maybe so. I
would overlook Kansas to prepare for the team the following week.
Entirely possible.
I'm just going to that's why I'd get got sometimes, and I wouldn't be a great hire. Vanderbilt, you didn't hear that? I wouldn't overlook anybody. Half the money. I'll move tomorrow.
Every game matters.
I'll move tomorrow.
I do like Oklahoma State in this spot. I think even on the road, which we say doesn't matter, I do think they are a significantly better team. Like they were able to score a ton on Texas Tech last week. TCU wasn't able to score on Texas Tech. But Gary Patterson's team is looking a little bit better.
This is the one coaching matchup. I'd take Gary Patterson over Gundy. Yeah.
So you're thinking about playing?
I think Patterson
or taking points.
Patterson's a mean sumbitch.
Oh, he certainly is.
I think he.
I don't know if that means his teams are good.
I think he plays. He would be a guy. He would be like Ric Flair. He's the dirtiest fighter in the game. That man. I feel like I get that from him. I've always liked him a lot, so that kind of helps.
That would make sense. So tell me, like, would you take them in this game? Like,
here's my problem. If I get Oklahoma State for the first 5-6 weeks of the season, if I get that OK State team
with the defense,
give me TCU,
but not very good. Oh,
give me
okay.
TCU.
So if they don't have a very good offense,
because I think Gary Patterson will take that shitty offense that they've had, and I think he'll put it in a ball, and he'll put them in a corner, and he'll just beat them with
a bag of hammers. Yeah.
But if the OK State team that came out last week, now this ain't Texas Tech, but still,
they hung a 50 burger last week.
When Gundy is swinging, it gets a little hairy, and I would take that OK State team. The problem is I don't know which OK State team we're getting.
The
if
total
Gundy
here,
would answer my text, I would be happy.
The total is 51.5. Oklahoma State scored 50 last week. Yeah. TCU's defense ain't that good.
No, they're not that good. But
this could be a very different game. This seems like a trap kind of a
my
total.
Problem is why did Oklahoma State completely change the way they played football for 1 week, and then they're just going to go back to the old ways of doing things?
I'm
or did
wondering
Gundy say, I'm done with this?
I'm wondering if they were starting the wrong running back with Chuba Hubbard. I know that sounds weird.
Did Chuba cost himself a lot of money?
he cost himself a ton of money.
A lot of money, right?
Because the backup comes in.
All the money in the world.
Man.
No, so it's
That's
just,
bad
but
juju.
it's not just the run game looks better. Offensively, they just look like it looked like a completely different team.
Yeah, it really did. And Texas Tech probably had something to do with that.
There's
not just that.
There's not a lot of great defenses being played in the Big 12. Texas Tech ain't the worst by far, I promise. My issue is what I think might have happened was Gundy saw how they struggled all year, and he looked at his DC. He went to his coordinators and he said, "We've done it y'all's way for 6-7 weeks now. We doing this my way."
Yeah.
Now, if that's the Gundy we get, I'd take OK State. And 1 or 2 points ain't enough.
I'd probably take OK State.
I swear to God, if we end up if this game ends up 15-14, I'm gonna be furious. Gonna be furious.
Let's wrap this damn thing up, man. Let's go Fresno State, Nevada, or whatever we call it out here. So the Wolfpack favored by 7.5 at opening. It's down to 7, total of 58.5. The projected spread is 3.92 in favor of Nevada. Fresno is tricky. Like they've already had several cancellations. The Wolfpack went to Hawaii last week, took their first L. How do they respond off of that? Fresno's good, man. I was just about to say,
am I a fool for liking Fresno?
No, like Kalen DeBoer he's got the offense rolling now. And, former Indiana offensive coordinator, former offensive coordinator under Tedford at Fresno. Like, he knows how to get this thing rolling. And now that they've had a few weeks and even some practice time, even through the COVID protocols and games missed and all that, they've had more time with these players.
Are they one of the teams that has to move to practice now?
No.
Okay.
Fresno, like the county that is fine. Like
Okay.
they don't do the same thing as up there
Santa
in like
Clara.
Palo Alto
Yeah,
and all that.
Santa
So
Clara County, I think, and I don't know, but I don't know the cities
Berkeley,
that make up
like
into
the city
that
of
county.
Berkeley.
Yeah. So I was just worried about that because that would greatly affect a football team.
Oh yeah.
Now they're living out of a Holiday Inn in some place in Nevada.
Yeah. But if that was the case, they at least wouldn't have to travel far for the game.
No, they wouldn't have to travel far.
All you got to do is get to
Reno.
Reno.
I don't know. Nevada's a pretty big ass state.
I mean, look, all you got to do is get to Reno. There's only 2 places you could possibly stay in Nevada. There's Reno and there's Vegas. Like
that's not true.
There's Tahoe. But that's right next to Reno. So like we're right there.
All right, I know of a couple of cities. I'm not gonna name them. Little shady business goes down.
Little shady business.
I may know some people in some of those industries.
I do like the Wolfpack, but I think that Fresno keeps this game insanely close. I think I might play Fresno here.
I like when you said I want to talk about this game. My first thought was, am I stepping in a trap? How I hate taking a team that I think is a good team that just came off a big loss.
Yeah,
I like playing them the following week, and I had every intention to. And then I saw they were playing Fresno, and then I saw it was a touchdown. I thought,
I think Jay Norvell's team played above their heads for the first however many weeks, right?
Maybe.
I don't think they should have gotten that San Diego State win. There were a couple of games.
I agree with that completely.
So they were undefeated.
But I also don't think they should have lost to Hawaii. I'm glad they did, and I like that win. I think their record is what it should be, just not the right teams in the right places.
That would make sense.
Maybe
that makes
that's
sense.
it.
Either way, let's close out with this one. We'll talk about the Big 12 right quick. And that would be West Virginia and Iowa State live from Ames, Iowa at some point on Saturday because this one does not have a time yet or a television station or anything else. Iowa State opens a 7-point favorite, and basically they just have to win, and they are in the Big 12 championship game. So there will be motivation on the side of the Cyclones. They are still sitting at a 7-point favorite. West Virginia's defense is absolutely legit. This is a legit defense. However, that offense still got a ways to go under Neil Brown in that bunch. Jarrett Dagey looks okay. I don't think that he's going to be able to do anything against this Iowa State team. No. The total is 48. Even that might be too high.
I think that's too many points.
I like Iowa State to be able to cover because this feels to me very much 24-14-ish.
Maybe. I'm probably going to stay away from the side because I do think that West Virginia's defense can slow this game down.
And when has Iowa State been in a pressure situation like this where they were not the underdog? Like, they are the favorite, and all they have to do is win.
They don't have to cover. They just have to get the win. And
That's
I can see him being totally happy with a field goal win. So but I'm with you. I think the play in this game is the under.
Yes.
Because I think both these defenses are really good. What does it say about Neil Brown's staff, that they could fire their defensive coordinator before the season started? And this might be the best West Virginia defense I've seen in 20, 30 years. Now, I know that Holgo was there. Like, they had all offensive gurus, which Neil Brown's supposed to be an offensive guru. But he came in, he's like, well, I don't have a defensive coordinator. Is he running the defense now?
No, it's the defensive staff that are putting together the game plans.
They're Bill Belichick in this thing. We're not going to hire a defensive coordinator. We're going to save that money. We're just gonna...
And they got somebody that's calling the plays, and I don't know that they've ever revealed exactly who that is, but it's not a coordinator. It's just the staff that puts together the game plan.
Call Bill, and he'll teach you how to save a couple $1 million a year in payroll by just not hiring people to do jobs that everybody else is already doing.
Pretty much.
Genius.
It's ridiculous. All right, I think that's going to wrap it up. Anything else you think we need to hit?
Nope, that's it.
All right, sbrpicks.com/NCAAF. That is your one-stop shop. Go over there and check out all the great articles on all the great games this week. Make sure that you like this video, that you subscribe to the channel, and leave us some comments. Tell us what you think about the show. Tell us what your edges are this week, et cetera, et cetera. Help us out. Let us know what you think. sbrpicks.com/pick6. That's PICK and the number 6. You can win cash prizes for free every week. Just go pick some games. Easy enough. So, and then, and of course, we didn't get to all the games, but we are always available. You can always find us. We are on Twitter. I am at Gary WCE.
I'm at Chris B. Giannini.
So for SBR Picks, hold on. What's the other? For sportsbookreview.com. I'm Gary.
And I'm Chris.
And we'll see you again on Tuesday.